So you played Remnant Records and are trying to figure out how to deal with the ghost. Well, hopefully this guide will help you. If you have other tips and tricks you've learned, feel free to leave the comments, but we're going to get right to it. The first ghost we're going to cover briefly is the runner. The runner is a blind ghost, so sound sensitive, so you can leave lights on, but any type of sound really sets him off, and the louder the sound, the more aggressive and quicker he gets to you. So he's always walking around the map. Unlike some ghosts that teleport, he will walk. Running and speaking in proximity are just bad news, so don't do it. A few tips for him we found was safety crouching helps. His proximity radius is still pretty big, but if you find you've run or said something, definitely safety crouch and stop moving for a bit. It seems he aggroes off. He growls frequently, so of course listen for him. If you're not the medium and can't see him, throw items to distract him. That is the biggest tip we've found. So, if you've got an item nearby, and you should, and you hear him growling, go ahead and pick that up. Be ready to distract him with that item and get out of there. The other thing is during the exorcism, when you run through the bell fragments, they will ring loudly and he will come running. So if you run through them, and you should, be ready to run and hide. Have your spot ready. That's the runner. The next ghost or spirit we'll cover is the Shusher. The Shusher can see and hear, so lights off and be quiet in proximity. Avoid looking at her directly. That really is one of her strengths. And it can teleport and hunt invisibly. Not during the exorcism phase, however. She'll often shush early in the hunt and then kill more often later on, but that's not always the case. Just be aware of that. And during the exorcism, if you follow the orbs until they stop, they'll create an orb circle on the ground. All players should work to stand in those during the exorcism, including the dead players. So here are some tips we found for the Shusher. You can look downward as you explore to help minimize the attack risk. If you hear her, definitely don't turn around. That is just asking for trouble, and you will be shushed or killed. During the exorcism, she's always visible and holds a lantern, so she's a little easier to spot. So keep an eye out for her lantern light. That'll help you hide and turn your flashlight off when you need to. Dead players should take the most risky orb circles during the exorcism phase because she can see you, and those orb circles are most likely vulnerable to attack. So make sure your dead folks take those if possible. So those are some brief tips on the Shusher. Remnant Records Orphan is a unique ghost. It doesn't like bright lights, particularly in her face, or loud noises close by. It both walks and teleports around the map. We found that it tends to walk slower and then teleport after it's been around an area. Of course, it's looking for you and looking to aggro, but we found that to be more the behavior at this point. During the hunt, multiple terror babies will spawn to find you, so obviously avoid them. They're still working on the number and the location of those babies as they spawn. Be aware, but we often find that hiding in a closet when you do the exorcism typically works well. It gets you to a safer spot, so just make that note. Other tips: toys in the house can be used to make her happy and disappear temporarily. If you're playing multiplayer, you can have one player manage the toys while others explore. That's a helpful tip if you have more than one player. She'll not always like the toys you give her, so there's some trial and error. Always keep some toys nearby in the main areas in case she shows up, if you're not having someone handle that. So spread them around. If she's not going to like the toy you give her, typically she'll kneel before she screams and begins to aggro and hunt. Be aware, if she is going to like that toy, she typically stands and quickly disappears. So make that note as well as you encounter the Orphan. We'll cover the last ghost, and then we'll have some final tips. Stay tuned. The Mannequin's our last ghost. The key with the Mannequin is it does not like the flashlight. So facing the Mannequin with your flashlight on is the biggest strength you have to fight it off. Avoid turning away when the Mannequin is close. It will move towards you and often cut your lights and the lights around you and then kill you. When it gets close to you, your lights may blink or the flashlight may go off. We found that running towards a lit room and then turning quickly kind of resets that. So that should be your goal. Obviously, you can use traps and things as well. During the exorcism, multiple dummy mannequins appear, but only one of them is real. Shining a light at the actual mannequin will break it and leave an orb. If you pick those up, it speeds up the exorcism. Some tips for the Mannequin: if in multiplayer, you can hunt in pairs so someone can guard your back while you search for clues. When reading clues, face towards the door so the Mannequin won't sneak up on you. During the exorcism, a medium can watch for the real Mannequin movement even if the other fake mannequins are around. So if you're not facing it, if it's in another area on the same floor, that medium can be helpful to spot it before it gets too close. Here's some final tips. The cartographer's trap card is very useful when placed at a choke point, like a stairwell or in a main hallway. So if you're chased, you can always make a run for that area in hopes of trapping it and getting away. Using the medium sight skill right away to locate the death room speeds up the gathering process we found, and there will be some clue or some item in there that will help, so make quick use of that. The muscle can break most doors, and so the need to have keys is limited, but if you do find a key, it's not a bad idea to bring it down to the exorcism board or some central gathering area that you may have. That ultimately leaves it there in case somebody finds a non-breakable door and they can get it quickly. Don't forget, mediums can see dead player clicks, so they can help guide alive players to clues and other items when you're dead. So once you're dead, one of the fun things about this game is you're not totally out. You can still participate and help. We found too, piling up potential evidence items near the board can help, even if it doesn't end up being relevant. That way, as you read the clues, you can quickly insert those items on the board, and you don't have to go search for them one at a time. Saving the helper card from the cartographer until you've gathered a couple of clue items is helpful. That way you might be able to find an item that's hard to identify. Some of the clues aren't as clear, and yet some of them are really clear and easy to find. So save that after a couple clues. Oftentimes it'll get you what you need. So be sure to alert the electrician as you explore the house when you find the fuse box. That way they know exactly where to go if the lights do go off. Makes it easy for them to jump right there and go to it quickly. Again, if you have any other tips, feel free to leave comments, and hope this has been helpful. Thanks. Bye.